First of all, thank you, Randy, and thank you, Travis, for the opportunity to be a part of this meeting. Also, thanks to all of the folks involved in the Chamber of Commerce as well. Thank you again for your time. Again, my name is Tony Dalton, and I am here in Mount Airy. I'm originally from just on top of the mountain from Hillsdale, Virginia, where I was born and raised. And as far as personal background is concerned, I was very fortunate to grow up in a musical family. So I guess that has a lot of influence in what I'm doing now. Had a lot of exposure to different styles of music and so forth. And obviously growing up in the school system, being a part of chorus and band and all those different components obviously had a great influence on me as well. After graduating high school, shortly thereafter, I started working at a local recording studio in Galax, Virginia, a place called Warehouse Recording, where I started learning the more about music business, more about recording, engineering, mixing, those types of aspects, working with groups and individual artists, honing their craft and producing work for them. In 1987, I actually moved here to Mount Airy in the fall. And I began doing work with Russell Easter Jr. at his recording studio, which at the time was on Main Street. It was the building that was torn down beside where the History Museum is. And so I don't know if you folks will remember that or not, but I worked there, obviously continuing to learn recording and engineering, as well as producing and mixing and those kind of aspects. I even had the opportunity at one point to work with a team developing commercial ads for Mount Airy downtown. It was part of a revitalization effort. And so that was a really good experience and obviously helped us to reach out to local businesses, obviously close to us being in the downtown area. So again, having that experience, I think, has also helped as time has progressed. In 1996, from 98 on, I began working in different recording studios, both here locally as well as in other states as well. Obviously, that helped me to broaden my horizons and obviously gain more experience. And up until that point, obviously all of my work had been encompassed in working in other areas and other recording studios. But I was fortunate enough a year after my daughter was born to actually open up a project studio, which is Dynamix Recording in '96. And obviously through that, I was able to work with local artists in doing recording work. At the same time, I was still a contract session player at other recording studios. I worked in studios in Virginia, in Kentucky, Indiana, different places like that. Obviously, having that exposure helped in that regard. Been very fortunate to, even though this is a local area, I'm not sure how many folks are aware that, really Mount Airy has a very rich heritage in the recording industry. Not many people are aware that there have been studios here that have recorded albums that to some regard in different genres of music that had great impact, not just locally and regionally, but nationally. And so, I feel fortunate that in that regard, I was able to work alongside many of those that kind of paved the way, if you will, for the industry in a local area such as Mount Airy. So, in that, most of the work was contract in nature. Obviously, I worked doing other things. I was in ministry for several years, working in local churches and just, felt that was a great honor and privilege to, to work in congregations and be alongside so many great people, and be able to learn along the way as well. One interesting fact, personally, in 2008, I'd actually written a song that actually got featured at the National Worship Leader Conference in Austin, Texas. It ended up being one of two songs that were kind of the finalists for this national and basically an international event. So very blessed in that. I take none of that for granted at all. Obviously, working in that regard, working in churches, I served full-time on staff at Salem Baptist Church in Dalton, North Carolina, for almost 6 years. And that has helped me to branch into kind of what I've integrated into my work now. When I came on staff there, obviously what we're doing now with streaming services, video, Zoom, a lot of that, even in 2010, was in its infancy stages. But part of my job when I came there was to get our internet streaming services up and going, along with our website, develop an app for the church, so we did a lot of video. A lot of the guys that worked on my video team, I was very blessed because a lot of those guys actually came out of DC doing house video feeds in DC for all the House and Senate and things of that nature. So obviously, working with those folks gave me a wealth of knowledge as well. And so, with that, it helped me to learn the inner workings of video. One of the things that we did was we produced pre-service video announcements that would run prior to the service starting. So obviously that got my feet wet more into video production. So kind of leading up to where I am now is kind of a relaunch, a rebrand, if you will. Not only, trying to serve audio needs as far as music and production, but also veering into live video streaming services, as well as video productions for corporate campaigns and so forth. On my website, I have a few videos that I was fortunate enough to work with Randolph Hospital, as well as some other organizations producing corporate and campaign video ads for those individuals as well. So in that regard, taking all of these experiences into account, I'm trying to use all of those to my fullest to be able to service not only hopefully folks within the chamber, but just be more reconnected with the community as a whole. One of the things when you're working outside of town for so many years, you seem to lose that connectivity. So one of the things that I expressed to Travis when joining the chamber was I wanted to reconnect with the local community and to be able, if there's some role that I could play to help serve other businesses in other areas, then I would feel that to be a great honor and to be able to do that. So again, where I am now is basically kind of a rebranding, relaunch, if you will, of something that was started over 30 years ago. So I'm excited to see what is coming down the pike. Hopefully 2021 will be a good breakout year for all businesses, and just looking forward to seeing what is ahead.
Tell us then, Dynamix, what kind of services would you have available to a business? So I assume if they need to make a professional video, a commercial, they need to maybe do a radio spot. Tell us some of the services that you provide through your company.
Yeah, basically those types of services, live streaming events, corporate events, as well as producing and storyboarding corporate video ads, both for radio and TV as well. So that's something that we would work closely with businesses to develop the vision that they have and put that in a video format. to best represent their company.
One of our members here this morning has asked whether you offer video editing services.
Yes, yes, I do video editing. Something else that I do as well is a new market that's kind of coming on the scene is podcast editing. A lot of people are doing podcast production, but they need someone to tidy things up, to do final edits and do lead ins and lead outs and things of that nature. And so that's another element that I can provide as well.
Awesome. John also asked, how has COVID affected your business?
It's definitely caused me to rethink how I'm promoting myself. Whereas before, you know, obviously with most of my business, it's always been strictly pretty much word of mouth. Obviously, I'm trying to use social media more than ever to be able to get my services out there to folks. You know, obviously, you know, one of the things that I've seen happen a lot more now is, you know, even when it comes to music, you know, there are people that are doing these virtual concerts now, and so I think they're, you know, out of necessity, you know, brings about creative ideas and creative things and creative ways to be able to service customers. So I see, you know, I see where you know the industry obviously has changed. You know, more of a digital platform and digital presence has obviously evolved. That's good and bad. Because you know we're you know, especially with folks with health concerns, you know, if there's technology available, there's, you know, nearly not as many limitations. On the other hand, there's, to me, something that sometimes can get lost in translation. For example, a physical product. You know, I know as a kid growing up, you know, one of my favorite things to do was to take an album cover, be able to pull it out, look at the album cover, the artwork, the liner notes, those kind of things, because there was that physical connection. And so I think one of the challenges, even though we're in a digital age, is to somehow bridge that gap. So there is that, you know, personal aspect and relationship that still somehow translates, even though it's in a digital form.